Hello and welcome to Patched. I'm your host Paul James, and I'm joined in this final Patched episode for the month by Damo and Paul.
Oh, jeez, man, you had me worried of a final Patched episode. Maybe you should say
Ever. People have been calling for it.
The bets were on. We weren't going to last this long. We did. You bastards.
So yeah, joined by Damo and Paul, and we're in this final episode of the month, kind of discussing YouTube influences, specifically in gaming. But obviously
that's right. That was the
there's
topic.
the presence of YouTube and whatnot, and a whole bunch of other medium. But we're going to focus specifically on gaming in this particular one. It's driven by two different stories. There's the first one, which is certainly the most public one of the lot, and we'll kind of discuss that first. Is the PewdiePie stuff that's emerged recently? You're familiar with it?
Yeah.
We won't use the word in question, but he found himself in some hot water because he used
a racial slur
towards someone whilst playing a game of PUBG, and that understandably received a bit of a backlash. People from a range of different ethnicities, so it's just people across the board saying no, that word's not acceptable. To his credit, he got out and apologised. He put out a formal apology. There was it didn't seem like it was any PR.
He apologised straight after he did it. He went,
he apologised
sorry,
straight after. Yeah.
Shouldn't have said that.
I meant to say arsehole. Is what he said.
Yeah.
No, what he said he meant to say.
Yeah.
The concern that some people have, I think, in my mind, rightly raised is that he's like, for some reason, he's linking those two words, that people who are of that particular background and arseholes, he's that worries me a little bit, that he that's a word that it even get used. It's the same way that and we've all been kids and we've all done stupid stuff in the past, but it's the way that people would casually throw around the word that's gay. Like, they'd describe something as gay because I don't know what stupid excuse people had to use that. Use the word.
It was just what was being said.
Yeah, it was just what was being said.
You just
pick things up.
That's gay, or go home, you faggot.
Yeah,
like,
those sorts of things.
You're not saying it because it's gay or because they're homosexual.
Sort of
You're saying it because they're being a dickhead.
Yeah, it was a word that for some reason, somehow, it kind of became just a generic insult. Not.
So Australia is. Yeah, we're not saying that we're. Not saying we're above all this. It's just a bit of banter between lads.
Yeah,
and, obviously, it's very hurtful to some people to hear that. I think extremely hurtful for
There's absolutely. I think it's one of those things too, until you actually get hit square between the eyes with it, you probably don't even realise, because, to use that gay one, it's...
Oh, yeah, I got stung with that one.
So casually used, and then all of a sudden you say the wrong thing in front of someone who is offended by it, maybe because they're gay or because they're a particular background or whatever it is, and they kind of... That's not all right.
Yeah, don't say that, please. And I don't know if anyone's ever flared up real bad. A lot of people look very, hey, don't say that.
Yeah.
And you feel this big when they do it. You feel tiny.
And you would hope in the majority of these cases it causes the person to sit back and think about it and go, oh, yeah, all right, cool. I'm maybe not... That's not the way I'm intending to use the word, but I've not realised the consequence that can have to certain people. And it seems like PewdiePie has learnt the hard way now twice.
Yeah.
There was some weird backlash, and I wouldn't mind discussing that. Have you heard some of the stuff that came afterwards?
This one or the first one?
The most recent one. So
I don't know anything that happened after the most recent one.
So you're familiar with Firewatch, the game?
Yeah, I saw that.
Campo Santo, yeah, they just we're cutting his content. We don't we're going to issue a DCMA notice, and that's it. We're going to get yanked off YouTube, which proceeded to happen. I don't think they had to submit the thing in the end. I think PewdiePie just took it down himself.
Yeah.
Do we feel like that's the right thing for people to do?
No, I'm sorry. You know what?
By the way, we know that what PewDiePie said.
I get what PewDiePie said was wrong. Okay? When you're streaming, you got to be careful. He messed up. He made a mistake. Yeah, human error. He didn't say it go hang yourself, you effing
blah blah blah.
He just said a slur like any of us may say from time to time, You know, you're driving along a road and someone cuts you off and you call them every name under the sun. Man, woman, or child, it doesn't matter. You know, you can lose yourself. And, you know, we put these people in these tall poppy syndrome. Look, I'm not going to say that they don't have the right to do it, but I just think that to me, things like that can often be like, let's get our name back in the limelight, let's separate ourselves. I mean, look,
sometimes
you know what? If honestly,
PewDiePie is like you said, tall poppy. He's the biggest of the big in the gaming space. So anyone else, from the smallest to small fries to us, like us, to anywhere in the middle there, it's an opportunity for these people to go rip him down and tear him a new one, and it's not.
Look, and you know what?
Be it games developers.
You can also, like, I've never really watched him play games. I don't know how if there's a heap.
I can't.
Yeah, and neither can I.
Different tastes.
You know,
there's a market
certain, you know, there's certain people out there that I'd be like, no, you get rid of that shit. You know, there's no way I want you having my content. You can't take him away from
choose.
Thing like
he's not
who
doing
you want.
Illegal.
Until they do step up, and then you're like, finally, I have a reason to stop you from like. Can you imagine? Yeah, and this is no longer PewDiePie. This is another. Not a streamer. A reviewer.
We do have a good news thing to come up as well.
This is another reviewer that, you know, sits there and he's really angry about video games.
Jim Sterling.
And
I got it.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh.
Just really angry about video games and says things, and you know what? He's at that point where people, you know, and sometimes it might be comedical or satire or whatever, but people start eating those words. People start loving it, and they don't even play the game anymore. They watch these reviewers and they go, yeah, I'm not going to do that. It's like, some people in the society just need to
take a step back,
realize that, you know, it's the same as CinemaSin. CinemaSin's got a huge write-up the other day in the paper, and they just, you know, they're like, you know, Prometheus School from running away from things. Like, you know, why is their product have a placement here?
Oh, okay.
And it points out all the mistakes in a movie, but it's supposed to be comedical and things like that. But people don't see it like that. They still take it seriously, and it ruins experiences for people because they start to just flow into this, you know,
angry.
That's what it is, and they just start, you know, they'll be like in a movie and they're like, why didn't we just do that? Like, why is that there? Look at that.
Yeah, they start to pick the teeth out of it.
And and it's like, you know, because that's your culture. And I'm not saying that any of our fans do it, or anybody that even hears about what's happening now. It's just people.
Thank you, fans, by the way. Please invite more to join you.
On this scale of being in, like, people's faces, need to realise that some of their words are very held onto.
Yeah.
You know? And
good or bad.
So you've kind of got to be... I'm not saying... Look, I'm just saying 2017, it's really hard not to offend somebody. Like, you know, geez, you could sneeze in front of somebody now and somebody would be like, yo, my next door neighbour's uncle's best friend's daughter's person that walks their dog died because someone sneezed and didn't cover their nose. Maybe you should think about that. And you're like... What am I doing?
I think I've heard you use that parallel before, actually.
Yeah, I did. I used it about something else that, you know, someone got offended about on the internets.
There's a ranty sort of culture that's starting to build, for sure. But I mean, at the same time, be it the YouTube creators or the consumers of that content themselves, everyone needs to try, like, to the best of their ability, try and be conscious of what they say and who they might or mightn't be offending. But then if you do stuff up for whatever reason, own it and apologise, and you try and be better going forward. Like, I think it's the same. Like, anyone can make mistakes. Whoever the best person in the world is, they've made mistakes. They've said things they probably shouldn't have for whatever reason.
Look at politicians and things like that. Look at the things
they're
dig
examples of bad people. But anyway,
look at the, you know,
or can
like you look at the Canadian Prime Minister. You know, like, that guy's in the limelight like no tomorrow. But then, like, you know, everyone's like, oh, he's so fantastic. He marches in gay pride rallies. Like, you know, he does this and this. He's like really intelligent.
It's all perspective.
And it's like, yeah, that's what you're seeing. But if you look at the broader picture, there may be things that you don't like about him. You know what I mean? Like, Don't
think
just,
it's like
don't
you
just
take
take one
the bad.
source of information for everything. Like, you know, don't just sit there and go, wow, that's it. Make your own mind up on things too. Like, look at the broader picture. That's why these guys are fantastic. There's a broad range of things you can always look at.
So, to do exactly that and look at the good side of things, there's an example that popped up on the site actually in the last few days. Matt broke it kind of as an exclusive because he knows the family in question. So there's a YouTuber called Dan TDM. I'd never personally heard of him before, but he's got well over 1 million subscribers.
TDM?
TDM, as in the letters TDM.
Okay.
Maybe his content's tedious, I don't know.
I
don't know. But apparently his big
Turtles
thing
Dinner
is he
Machine.
really tries to make sure it's all framed towards kids. It's accessible for kids, so there's no language, there's none of those racial or...
It's just so hard to find nowadays.
Any of those slurs that we were just talking, any of those things that like can accidentally happen, but any of that stuff not present in his content apparently. So Matt knows a family. The youngest son must be a real big fan of this Dan TDM guy, and he was travelling out to Australia for a series of shows in Sydney and Melbourne, presumably elsewhere. I don't know.
Like VidCon or something?
No, it sounds like it was his own.
Oh, okay.
Thing. Which is impressive, but I guess with 1 million subscribers, you're bound to be able to get a few thousand in each country that'll come out, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So there'd been a sale for Sydney tickets, and before they'd had an opportunity, sold out. This family's based in Sydney. They then tried to get tickets for Melbourne and succeeded. They went to get on the airport, get on the plane, a Virgin plane, we'll throw them under the bus, a Virgin plane to fly over to Melbourne for the show the day of.
Yeah.
The plane was scheduled to leave at 10, would have arrived before 11 o'clock. The show wasn't meant to start till 2. Everything was going perfectly until Virgin delayed their flight until 1:15, and the whole the family missed out on the show, all that sort of stuff. It was all really bad. The Melbourne show was first, by the way, in terms of the sequence of how these things were going. An important fact. Look, they managed to debate it with Virgin. Virgin refunded them the flights because they know.
I hope that was a cash refund too, and not just a terrible. Oh, you've got credit.
You've got credit with us, yeah. I have no idea, but they were refunded somehow, which good, owned by Virgin. Good on them. Whether it's cash, I doubt. It's probably credit with them. But beyond that, so then the mum had put something on Twitter, just kind of, I guess, outlining the situation. It managed to pick up a little bit of steam, eventually reaching the ears of this Dan TDM, who, despite the fact that the show was sold out, managed to scrape together another 2 tickets for this sold out gig, and got the kid and whichever parent.
Always spare tickets somewhere.
It's never truly sold out, but
it's always something that they can help you with, unless it's like.
Yeah.
Unless it's like it's sold out because there's already been that scenario and they've filled those.
Yeah, so it seems like it fit into one of those scenarios where a few of those ones that were maybe for family or friends of, or whoever, like VIPs.
Yeah.
Here you go, here's 2 of them, we'll get you in. And I think that there's not enough of those stories that are perhaps
highlighted.
Highlighted. We've just spent this whole time picking the teeth out of PewDiePie and what he's done, and then talking about
Angry Joe
content. I was an Angry Joe.
Yes, Angry Joe.
There's a whole bunch of.
I can go through a lot of those reviews,
sort of stories out there, but then there's really good ones as well. And I think there is an upside to what YouTube content creators are doing.
Yeah. Not
just in gaming, but elsewhere. But again, we're just focusing on gaming for the sake of this. How do we get more of that sort of stuff going? Like, how do we get, you were talking about some of the community stuff, how do we get, firstly, content creators like this Dan TDM
in the limelight,
in the limelight, and apparently he's doing all right. He's got over 1 million subscribers. That's not a number to be sniffed at, so that's great. But then how do we get some of these positive sort of communities that people, we know what the internet's typically like. A story like that comes out and it either gets ignored, or you get trolls come out and do all sorts of stupid stuff.
Oh, fuck trolls nowadays, man.
Apparently in this case, it got picked up by all the right people and it just took off and reached Dan, and all of a sudden, kid who apparently watches his content day in, day out, falls asleep to it, just idolises this guy, manages to still get an opportunity to go, well, maybe not meet, but at least watch his idol in person.
How do we
get the communities right?
That's like asking how do we change mainstream media, Paul. It's goddamn near impossible. You know why? Because this generation of Facebook users, and you might be some of them, I know,
or you might not be,
and you might not be. You probably know, and you could probably count the amount of people in your friendship group that do it, that read the title of something.
Oh, and respond based on
don't read the article. That's our biggest problem. Clickbait articles that have shitty titles. That's what needs to be changed.
There's that, but also, I mean, if you read the title and it gets you all riled up, you should read the actual article, because maybe like the headline is supposed to get you to. But it's meant to prompt an emotional response.
Poor TJ Miller.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it should happen.
No, I know. Like poor TJ Miller, like made a joke or something like that, and like the way they worded it made him sound like a sexist prick. And it's like,
yeah, okay.
That was the whole opposite of the thing. Was he was defending like women's rights, and it made him sound like a sexist asshole. It's like. And then like he was like, thanks for writing a great article about me with the world's shittiest headline. You know,
I mean, mine's far small scale, but I've had articles on the site that have people clearly not read the article, because then you'd know where my stance is.
Let's look at positive things, yeah.
And not because we don't go clickbaity headlines, but sometimes people read into the headline the wrong way,
like
and they don't proceed to then read the content.
Unicronus?
Oh, no idea.
Little kid, man. Remember, like, so Greg Miller and when Greg Miller was at IGN, so Greg Miller.
While you're finding what you're finding, look, personally, when we're talking about the community stuff,
there we go. There he is. There's my man.
We'll come back to mine shortly then. Go on.
Frank Filano. Just a kid, yeah. Like, you got to make a wish thing. So he wanted to meet his content creators, the guys that he loves, you know. Greg Miller.
Oh, so it was the idea.
Brian Altano.
Brap.
Who else? Like, there are a bunch of those guys.
Max and all them.
Yeah, Max and, yeah. They went out and visited him, and, like, they obviously, IGN went out and said, you know, to game developers, hey, you got nothing to this kid, like he's a huge nerd, loves things, like he's awesome to follow on, on Twitter too. He's just this cool kid, man. And it's like, you poor thing. And it was beautiful, but where was that article? Where was that, you know, kid meets, you know, content creators of his dreams, you know, especially someone like Greg Miller, man. Like when he went through cancer.
Yeah.
And like, you know, absolutely. Let's not get going on about that. But
whenever he tells the story, it breaks into tears.
Things like that, like these beautiful moments we have that you either have to know somebody that watches these people, or even Boogie, like real Boogie, man, like Francis.
Well, his weight loss story's an impressive one, but but he still gets all the taunts and crap in them.
Mia, who passed away at Nintendo?
Iwata.
Yeah, when Iwata passed away, that was one of my first videos I've ever liked on YouTube.
Oh, the tribute video they put up?
Did he just he just turned around and, you know, it's these beautiful moments. These people have very real human moments, but it's ignored. You know, if I was running a newspaper or a news channel or whatever,
the negatives is what draws people in. Unfortunately.
But why does it have to be like that?
I'm not saying it's right.
We just need to change that. Like what? Look. I remember one year I was watching the New Year's. Yeah, New Year's Eve. Yeah, watch the TV before the fireworks come on, so you know you don't miss it. So I'm sitting there and I'm like,
don't tell some of those stories, mate. I know exactly.
Last half an hour of TV before we start the new year. What did I cop? All the war and death and thing. I'm like, what the frack is that? Like, what are you doing? You depressed me, and you depressed the whole party before the year was over. I've done 1 second videos thing. Like you watch Google in a year videos, they're amazing. They show you, like, sure, there's some dark things that happen, but positives, the human spirit that like
if there's
kicks on.
No, that's right. I can't do that. It'll be dated before.
You know, it just kind of really, it just really sucks. Like, you know, I'm sure PewDiePie's had some amazing moments where he's talked to fans.
I'm sure, yeah.
Things,
I've no doubt about it. But the negative gets highlighted.
Of course, and
I want to cycle back to our community thing we were talking about a moment ago. Because I asked the question, then realised I kind of had an example of a good answer. Only an example of a good answer. It's fairly well known that I am a big kind of funny content consumer.
Yep.
They've got their Facebook forums, they've got Twitter, they've got the forums on the site, and God knows what else. There's Discord chats and obviously the YouTube comments and blah 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 blah. YouTube, harder for them to obviously keep an eye on because it's something that they don't own, whereas they are in possession of their own Facebook like page, their own Twitter, all that sort of stuff. And obviously the Twitter groups have got admins and those sort of things from the community. And look, it's gotten to the point where if someone, and I have seen it every now and then, someone jumps in and just piles on abuse, whatever, for whatever reason. Maybe they're just having a bad day and they lashed out stupidly. And the community around will just, sorry mate, like, we don't behave like that here. You can either, you know, reflect on it and try and do this thing better, or you're not welcome here anymore. And there's been others that have, like some cases where those people have continued to rant, and you'll see the little locks, like the little grey symbol appear where they're no longer part of that group anymore.
Yep.
And then you get others that, yeah, sorry man, I had a bad moment, and like it happens, and everyone's super good and forgiving and move on. If there could be more communities out there that, and it's tricky because it almost needs to be a really big community. We could have a pile of abuse in these comments here, and the only person that really moderates is myself or Matt. And we're working 9 till 5 most days, so who knows what could happen in that time. So
that's not an invitation to troll.
Please don't. Good positive stuff in the comments down there though. Like those bigger groups, it's tricky with IGN because it's now probably gotten so big it can't rein it in from here. But when you're a little group that's starting up, or even a mid-sized group that's starting up, if you can get that kind of community groundswell straight out the gate, where we don't stand for this sort of stuff, we're working in this together, and if you can really build that relationship with the fans, that can ensure that you're going to have a really vibrant, positive place going forward. And that's an example that I know of because I'm a part of that myself. And I don't chip in all that often because I'm flat out most of the time. But
you just use another example. Look at the Pokemon Go community, yeah? When Pokemon Go first started,
almost a month this is an outrage. Talking about it.
This is going to be absolutely terrible. Like, look at these people on their phones, they're going to get hit by trucks and things like that. In my town of Sunbury alone, there was where the majority of the Pokemon,
where you live now,
the majority of people that were like, you know, gather around this town hub where there was a lot of points. Someone set up a hot chocolate place because it was the middle of winter when it kicked in Australia. Someone free hot chocolates, like Pokemon Go players come and enjoy. It was a perfect community. Like it was this amazing community, and like people are like, oh, you know, you're going.
To be fair, those people were just looking to profit off the Pokemon Go people, but it did create the good.
No, but they were free. Like it was a free thing. Like, you know, you're just like, hey, enjoy this. Like while you're out here getting cold. Like, and there was a parent. There was a parent who started up a whole like group for what's the blue team again?
Mystic,
the best team, obviously. Blue, stick on the back of my car.
Couldn't remember the name though.
No, it doesn't matter. It's Articuno, that's what I remember. The best of the legendary birds. But that community, like, you know, she set it up and it's like, hey, you know, this is where the points, this is where we can meet, just to help her kid. Yeah. Like, you know, and for some people it was hard to meet and greet people.
That sort of stuff's still adapted because, and we know that I still play it, and I'm not going to dive into this too long, but there are like little raid groups in Sunbury there that like the chat's a part of it, and in the last couple of days, by now I hopefully well and truly have it, but in the last couple of days the notifications finally started rolling out that Mewtwo was on its way.
Yep.
And like people got their little invites in the game, and then people are piling into the comments going, okay, so cool, now what time are we doing it? And everyone's coordinating stuff, and there's like, and with the raids that have already been on, it's like someone's running a few minutes late because I don't know, they're driving in from work or they've been held up in traffic or whatever. Comment will come through going, I'm running about 5 minutes late, and everyone goes, cool, we'll wait. We're a team here. We're doing this thing.
Exactly.
And you kind of have to an extent because it is a team thing. You don't want to be the jerk who bails on everyone else, and then all of a sudden you need their help, and
Yeah,
you're
but
not
like,
getting
you know,
But-
it's these beautiful moments that don't get talked about, and the media put a spin on it because they don't do the research or they don't know. Like, just spend 5 minutes with a kid who plays Minecraft. Like, just talk to them. Talk to them about like the love they have for that game and the things they've built. It's a fantastic. You know, don't talk to the 35-year-old dude who goes into a kid's world and then plants TNT everywhere and blows everything up. Don't talk to that
makes for good,
person.
funny YouTube videos.
No, he makes hilarious. Yeah, I'm gonna laugh. Of course, I'm gonna laugh at someone else's pain. That's great. But like, you know, there's moments in life that you don't, you know. There's no need to be a dick.
In short, don't be a dick. That, I think, unless there's anything that springs to your mind at all.
No, like, there's positives and there's negatives out there when it comes to the...
No racial slurs. It's bad.
Just, yeah, be careful. Like, if you guys are... Look, if any of you are streaming or, you know, highlighting your plays or whatever...
Please, highlight some of our stuff.
Just be careful. Like, don't... Understand that with social media now, things explode if they're caught on, you know...
Good, bad, or otherwise.
Yeah,
As the Dan
exactly.
TDM thing
So
comes
just be careful of content that you're posting, from your tweets to your comments to, you know, things that you like and things that you share. Like, you know, do not create content is what I'm trying to say. Create content and have fun. Just don't be a douchebag about it.
If you're a good person, then hopefully your community will kind of understand when you do make the occasional mistake. Hopefully it's only very
Yeah,
occasional.
we forgive Paul every day for being a Geelong supporter.
And on that note, that ends another episode of Patched. Make sure to please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, where you can catch up with weekly episodes of Patched, the Video Games Club, The Insider, Player 2 Plays. Make sure to visit the website, player2.net.au. You can catch up with all the awesome written content. There's reviews, there's previews, features, a whole bunch of stuff. Lots of reviews will be coming out now because we've got the likes of Assassin's Creed and Mario and Wolfenstein and all those sorts of things that are starting to drop in the coming days. Make sure to catch Damo at Taco's Talks on Twitter, Paul James P2 on Twitter, Player2AU for the site on Twitter, and otherwise that is it. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time.